Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a massive haul for you. So these books in the haul are from the end of October and then all through November. So there's lots of them, so let's get on with it. So first I have Philip Schofield's Life's What Do You Make It? I think this is the only autobiography I have in this haul. So this one's about this morning TV host, and it's about his life on and off screen. So Philip's been hosting morning TV for years, I'd say, for as long as I can remember, but the show that he hosts this morning, I do remember the two hosts that were on it when I was a kid. So it's been about 15 years doing this morning, maybe more, probably less, I don't know, but I bought this because I was on a massive autobiography kick at the time, so that's that. And next we have Please Don't Take My Baby by Cathy Glass. I think I said in my previous two hauls actually that I've been reading a lot of Cathy Glass and I want to actually buy the books so that I have them in my collection as well. And a friend gifted me 5 books. Some of them I have read and 3 of them I've read, 2 of them I haven't read yet. So this one is about 17-year-old Jade, who is pregnant and she goes to live with Cathy. She's desperate to keep her baby, but she struggles with the responsibility of being a mum. I haven't read this one yet. I will get to it eventually, but I do have hundreds of books that I need to get through, and I need to film a unhaul soon. So next I have A Baby's Cry by Cathy Glass. So Cathy takes care of newborn baby Harrison, who's been abandoned by his mother, but there's more to the story than Cathy first believes. At first she's wondering, how can a mum abandon their baby, but then she discovers more to the secret, more to the reason why she left him. I've not read this one. I think this one is the next, because I'm reading it in order of who she adopted. I think this one is actually next on that list. Sorry if you can hear people screaming in the background, the football is on. And then we have Another Forgotten Child, which I have read, and I gave it 4 stars. It's got a sticker mark on it. But this is about 8-year-old Amy. She's been on the social services radar since she was born, and this is due to her mum being a drug addict. Her older half-siblings have all been taken into care, but nobody knows why little Amy hasn't been taken away yet. The social services end up taking her away when the school starts reporting concerns of bruises and the child, and Amy looking like underfed and neglected. But she goes to live with Cathy and she's very angry when she first arrives. But after Cathy does her amazing work, little Amy starts to relax and become less angry, and start eating things other than biscuits. And next I have Saving Danny, also by Cathy Glass, another one that I have read. So after Danny has been rejected by his dad, his behaviour gets worse and his mum can no longer cope with him. He doesn't talk to anyone other than his pet rabbit, George. It turns out that even though he can't talk to you and express his feelings, he's taking in everything that everybody says, and he tells these things, that he's heard to the rabbit. So if he overhears somebody saying, oh, Barbara down the street stole a car yesterday, he'll tell his rabbit. But Cathy takes him in, and he loves patterns. He creates them with his food. He gets Lego and creates these amazing patterns. Cathy puts little sketches of them in throughout the book. Like this, for example. This kind of thing he does with his food. I think he puts the darkest in the middle and then the lightest on the outside. Or he'll start by eating the darkest colour first to the lightest colour, or the other way around, I can't remember which. But I read this one, I gave it 2 stars, because although I felt sorry for Danny, it just wasn't the usual Cathy Glass book. You know, the child has a disability. He wasn't neglected, he was loved by his parents. I think he has autism or something. It seems like he has something like autism. So it's not the normal, this child was neglected or this child was abused type of thing. It was more of a parents can't cope, so you take him kind of thing. And then the last Cathy Glass book I have is Girl Alone. So this was the first Cathy Glass book that I read. I read it when it first came out back in 2015. I read it and then gave it to my sister for a Christmas present, because that's what I bought it for. I bought it for my sister for Christmas, and I was looking for something to read, and I read this. And then I didn't read any more Cathy Glass until about 2 years ago when I started reading them again. So this one's about Joss, and she's 13. When she was 9, she comes home from school and she finds that her father has committed suicide. And then in recent years, her mum is remarried and her stepdad is mentally and physically abusive to Joss, and this causes her to become angry and upset and confused, and she spends most of her time smoking cannabis and drinking alcohol, running away, just generally getting into trouble with the police. But, you know, Cathy does her magic and she becomes a lot more of a nicer child. I think this is the last true story type of book. This is Billy's Story by Louise Allen. Now, I read this book as an arc. That's why the spine hasn't been broken, because I haven't even opened this book other than to see the acknowledgements page, which my name is in. So this is about a little boy called Billy who is 5, and he lives in a cult type thing. It's a whole neighbourhood where the whole of the people in that neighbourhood are this kid's family. So when Billy and like more than 20 other children are taken into care by the social services, Billy goes to live with Louise and her family. When he first arrives, his behaviour is disturbing. It's really disturbing. He does things no normal child would do. But later, Louise finds out, that he suffered severe abuse. When I think about the story, it makes me want to cry. When I read this book, it made me cry, and I think this is the only book of this kind that has ever made me cry. Now, I have read, I think it's 5 others. Yeah, I've read 5 other Louise Allen books. They're all similar, all children being abused and that kind of thing. But this is the only one that has ever made me cry. And Louise said that that's a good thing if something like this can make somebody who doesn't cry at true storybooks cry. She said that's a good thing. I'm not sure if I believe that one though. So for my birthday, I got Caraval, the whole set. haven't even taken them out of the plastic wrapping. So it's Caraval, Legendary and Finale. This series, all I know about it is the main girl, Scarlet, she lives on a tiny little island with her dad, her sister and other people, I assume, and her dad is cruel and horrible and mean, and all Scarlet wants to do is run away. Well, all Scarlet wants to do is see Caraval, which I'm assuming from the image on the front cover, because I have seen the front covers of them, it's a circus. So she wants to see Caraval because it's a once in a year thing where the audience get to participate. But her dad arranges a marriage for Scarlet, and Tella, her sister, decides that, I'm going to help my sister go and see Caraval, and they get on a boat and leave and go and see this once a year performance. And Tella and the mysterious guy help Scarlet so that she can see Caraval. Only when we get there, Tella disappears and goes missing, and apparently, according to the ringmaster, whoever finds Tella first is the winner. That's all I know. I've heard some people on BookTube like it and others don't, but it sounds like fun, so I'll give it a try. And then this was one of my books in my November A Box of Stories box. So this is The Fallen Blade by Courtney Grimwood. So The Fallen Blade is set in Venice in 1407 and Duke Marco is on the throne. However, his ruthless aunt and uncle rule for him. They spend most of their time scheming and plotting against their enemies as well as each other. So the Duke's young cousin, whose name I can't pronounce so I'm not even going to bother, gets abducted by pirates, which is cool. Pirates in the 1400s, sounds fun. And because she's been abducted, it's going to trigger a war. But Venice's only hope to the war not happening and in keeping peace lies in a mysterious boy who possesses inhuman strength and speed. And next I have another one from my November A Box of Stories box. This is The Court of the Sun by Johanna Sinisalo. I think that's how you pronounce it. So this is set in an alternate Finland where they hold public health and social stability. It follows a young woman called Yoli. That's probably not how you say it. Who has a growing addiction to illegal chili peppers. Strange. So her addiction leads her on an adventure into a world where love, sex and free will are all controlled by the government, or by the state. When I first saw this book in my box, I was like, oh, really? Yeah, I don't really want this. I'm probably never going to read it. I'm going to see if the library wants it. But when I mentioned something about it on the ABOS Facebook page, people said that they actually enjoyed it. It was a good book. So I've decided that I am going to give it a go. After all, it's not that long. It's only 300 pages, so, it's not going to take me long. When I finished, I can unhaul it anyway. Next, I have Never Never by Serena Valentino. I think that's how you say it. Serena Valentino. So this is a spin on Peter Pan. As you see, it's got Captain Hook on it. It's told from Captain Hook's point of view. It tells about before he became a villain, before he became Captain Hook, and about how he lost his chance at being a lost boy and having to leave Neverland and being forced to grow up, and then him returning to Neverland as the evil Captain Hook that we all love to hate. I bought this because it goes with the rest of my series that I haven't even started yet. Next is another book that I bought because I wanted to reread my favourites, and I don't have my favourite books with me anymore. Was Keeping Secrets and Saving Zoe. Originally I just bought Saving Zoe, then I decided I wanted to read the other book that was in this one, so I bought this because it was cheaper to buy this than it was to buy the other book. So in this book we have Faking 19, which is one I just finished reading, and it's about a 17-year-old girl named Alex who spends most of her life daydreaming or writing stories about Richard Branson. She writes stories of the two of them being together in Paris on holiday, shopping in Paris on holiday, and she daydreams about him all the time. And then one day she decides, she's just got in trouble at school because her grades aren't doing so well. She used to be like a straight A student, and now her grades have dropped to almost non-existent grades. But instead of going home and facing the consequences of her mum, that night she decides to take a trip with her friend M into LA. And while in LA, they go to clubs and stuff. They're 17-year-old girls, and they're going to clubs and they're drinking. But when they're out, they meet a guy called, oh god, I can't remember his name, Connor. They meet a guy called Connor who Alex likes, and M meets a guy called Trevor who she likes. And at this point, Alex is just completely wild. She's failing out of school. She doesn't want to focus on her education or anything like that. She's just found out her dad's not going to pay for university, so she's not going to university, or college, should I say, because it's set in America. Her dad's not going to pay for college for her. Her grades aren't even good enough to get into the college that she had the potential of getting a scholarship for. So, she goes out, she gets drunk, she meets a guy. She lies to the guy, tells him that she's 19. For a while, she just fakes it by pretending she's 19. But the guy finds out that she's actually 17. He's 23. But after, the truth finally comes out, and she realises that M isn't as good a friend as she thought she would be, or the friend that Alex thought she was. Alex decides to just, sort of try and change her life a little bit. She attends school all the time. She goes to school and attends all the lessons. She tries to catch up with some of the work that she's failed on. She goes on a date with a guy who she does actually know, and he knows her real age and everything. But she has a chance of graduating from school, but she doesn't have a chance of getting good enough grades to get into the university that she wants. She doesn't have this money for the scholarship, she doesn't have the scholarship, and she doesn't have the money for the college. So yeah, in the end, she becomes a good girl and tries to graduate high school at least. And then in the second story, which is Saving Zoe, it's about 15-year-old Echo, who is still reeling from the death of her sister, which happened the year before. Her parents are numb, her friends are like, moving on without her. Echo is just starting her sophomore year of high school, and the year is proving to be a bit, weird. She's being compared to her sister a lot, and she realises she's never actually going to live up to her sister's memory. Her sister Zoe's former boyfriend, Mark, gives Echo Zoe's diary, and while Echo's reading the diary, she's uncovering more about her sister's life, and she wants to try and uncover what happened to her sister, because they don't really know exactly what happened. They just know that she was killed. So Echo reads the diary to uncover more about her sister's life, and so that she can start rebuilding her own life and move on a little bit. But that's the end of it. And this has been turned into a movie, so if you have Amazon Prime, go watch it. It's a great movie. Next we have another one of my read before, want to read again, because I really enjoyed it, and that is 52 Reasons to Hate My Father by Jessica Brody. So this is about Lexington Larrabee, who is a spoiled heiress. She always finds herself in trouble. She's constantly in the media for being in trouble. And even though she's never worked a day in her life, she has everything she could ever want, except her father's love. When Lexi turns 18, she's supposed to get her trust fund. But when she crashes her brand new Mercedes convertible into a convenience store, her dad decides, no, you're not getting your trust fund when you turn 18. You now have to take on low-paying jobs, and a different one every week for a year, and then you can have your trust fund. So she wears wigs to disguise herself, and she's a maid. I think she works in a shop, like a grocery store shop. She works as like a bus boy, cleaning dishes in a cafe or a restaurant, one or the other. It's been a while since I read it. It was a 5-star read for me. A good book. I enjoyed it. You'd enjoy it too. And you get to see why she has 52 reasons to hate her father. So next I have Almost There, and this is a spin on the Disney movie The Princess and the Frog. The Frog Princess, the one with Tiana in it. So it just says, what if Tiana made a deal that changed everything? So she's forced into accepting Dr. Vicali's, that how you say it? Is forced into accepting the evil guy's offer, and it changes her life. It alters the course of her life, and after a while of working in her dream restaurant and that sort of stuff, she has to work with Naveen and Charlotte to set things right, or she risks losing everything that she loves. I've been collecting these books. They're all up there. I've got to find somewhere for this one to go because it's not going to fit on there. Yeah, she's I've been collecting these books. I think I might just wait for them all to be released and then read them all in one go. I don't know, we'll see. And then I have another Alyson novel, and no, it's not the last one on my my TBR, my whole pile. There is another one somewhere. So this is Kiss and Blog. So this is about two best friends, Winter and Sloane, who want to ditch being invisible in their high school and become popular. So when they start their sophomore year, they made a promise to each other that whoever makes it to the cool group first will bring the other one with them. And Sloane is the one to make it into the A-list group, but she ditches Winter without even looking back. She doesn't care. So Winter takes revenge into her own hands by announcing all of Sloane's dirty little secrets on an anonymous blog, which becomes more popular than Winter could have ever dreamed of. She kind of a little bit regrets doing it, and a lot she doesn't regret it that much at some points in the book as well. So it's a good fun read to see, hey, this is what happened to this girl, preppy princess did this and you would never believe me if I told you who she really was. It's that kind of story. Then I have Forever Summer, which is my final Alyson Noel book on this one. This is another 2-in-1 book, and this is Laguna Cove and Cruel Summer. And I've read Laguna Cove but not read Cruel Summer yet, so I'll probably start with that one when I do go back to reading these and not my library books. So I can't remember what Laguna Cove's about, but it just says that it's, summer break from school. 2 teenage girls spend the summer being torn between, being torn from what's familiar to them into new friendships and new places and a new world, basically, and they may find love along the way. Next I have Across the Void by S.K. Vaughn. This is a science fiction book that I got in my November A Box of Stories box. It's set on Christmas Day in 2067, and drifting across the ruins of a wrecked spaceship, May is the last person left alive, and of a disastrous first manned mission to Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter. She's the only one alive, and the only person who can help her is her ex-husband Stephen, who is on Earth leading a mission with NASA. I got a lot of science fiction in my sci-fi and fantasy box, and yes, I know, sci-fi and fantasy box, but I would like fantasy books in my sci-fi and fantasy box, please. I have Everything About You by Heather Child, and this is the last book in the November A Box of Stories box. It's another science fiction, and this one is about Freya, who has a new virtual assistant, and this virtual assistant knows everything that Freya likes, everything that she wants, whose voice she wants to hear most, which just happens to be her missing sister. And Freya uses the new technology to learn more about her sister's disappearance. She thinks her sister is still missing out there somewhere and uploading to the cloud, uploading updates to the cloud, whatever that could mean. Whether it's something like implanted in them, because I think it's set like years from now. It doesn't say. And then I have Boys of the Summer by Jessica Brody. Now, this is the first book that I read that features 3 main characters in one book of Jessica's, and they're all boys. So best friends Grayson, Mike and Ian were hoping for another epic summer filled with bonfires, clam bakes, late night swims in the ocean. Cold. But before they arrive at the lot locks. Ian's dad never returned home from his last deployment of his military service. Mike has to take on more responsibility at home to help his family financially, and Grayson is in an accident which leaves his arm injured, his throwing arm injured, and in an uncertain future. It's clear that the summer isn't going to be the same as it usually is when they go to the locks, and then one of the guys decides to break their sacred code of never dating a friend's sister or an ex, and it puts their friendship to the test, and it could make or break them. I can't remember what happens in it. I've just remembered I know I've read it and I know I really loved it, but I cannot remember a thing about it. I can't wait to read it again. Then I have The Karma Club by Jessica Brody, which is the last Jessica Brody on this list. It's the last Jessica Brody in this haul, but this is about Maddie, who thought that she understood what karma was. What goes round comes around. Do good things and you'll be rewarded. Do bad things and you'll get what's coming to you. That kind of thing. So when her boyfriend gets caught with another girl and nothing happens to either of them, karma seems to be letting Maddie down. So Maddie and her two best friends, Jade and Angie, decide to start the Karma Club. And they use this club as a way to help karma along, give it a bit of a push. And they soon realise that meddling with the universe isn't a wise thing to do. You have to let karma do its thing. We all know this. But they're teenage girls and they don't care. They don't listen to adults. First, we have the Illumicrate book. This is the October Illumicrate book. Look at these stencil edges. They are perfect. So this is The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. So this is about a deaf girl named Delaney who's tired of being seen as fragile just because she's deaf. So Delaney gets accepted into this prestigious onto this prestigious program that trains students to slip between parallel worlds, which sounds cool. I'd love to go to a parallel world. So she's excited to prove herself, but the professors won't accommodate for her disability. So her year gets off to a rocky start. A kid that she knew when she was younger, he turns up there as well as one of the students, and he's warned to stay away from her. I'm not sure why. I want to know why, but I am looking forward to actually reading this. I was going to read it with a read along, but yeah, I was totally not in the right frame of mind to read anything, so I didn't read it. If anybody wants to buddy read it with me in the new year, please let me know. Okay, and then we have the paperback copy that came with the October Fairy Loot box, which is Princess of Souls by Alexandra Christo. So this was the extra book in the Fairy Loot box for October, and it's a retelling of Rapunzel about a teen witch who is groomed to steal souls for an immortal king. And the reckless, rebellious boy who her fate is tied to. The main character is called Celestra, and she's been trapped in a castle in preparation to take her mother's place as the king's right hand. And the boy that I'm assuming she's supposed to be Fated with. He's called Knox. And it is by the same author. I thought it was. It's by the same author as To Kill a Kingdom, which is a book that is in one of my previous hauls. And then the other book I have is One Dark Window, and this is the October's Fairy Loot book. So this is by Rachel Gillig. This is the alternate side to the dust jacket because I didn't like the original cover. Well, no, I do like the original cover, they just didn't really do much with it. So I put the alternate side on. This is the first time since May, when I've been getting these boxes, that I have done this. So this is about a girl who needs more than luck to stay safe in a mist-locked kingdom of Blunder. Elspeth has a monster stuck in her head, and the ancient spirit, who she calls the Nightmare, protects her and keeps her secrets, and nothing comes for free, especially magic. So this book is going to be full of magic and darkness and mystery, which is going to be cool. Can't wait. That's another one. If somebody wants to also buddy read that with me in the new year, let me know. If anybody wants to buddy read any of these books with me in the new year, leave me a comment in the description box and let me know, and I will try my hardest to actually be able to participate in the buddy read. So that's all the books I got at the end of October and all through November. If you have read any of these and you liked them or you didn't like them, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.